As fire rages in Southern California, questions are starting to be asked about how budget cuts at the state and local level may have impacted the response. President Biden has said the federal government will cover 100% of fire response costs.
They're the worst fires that ever hit Los Angeles, ever. And as soon as these fires broke out, I approved the Fire Management Assistance Grant. I'm also surging all federal resources possible to Southern California.
California Senator Adam Schiff joins us now. Senator, thank you so much for being with us. I know you live in Southern California, and it's been very difficult to see some of these images from afar. But now that you're there, what have you seen and what's being done to get these fires under control?
Well, it's just devastating. Unlike other fires I've seen in the past in California, this one has wiped out whole neighborhoods, whole communities. People's home is gone, their church is gone, their school is gone, their neighbors also have had to flee to shelter, and there's just still no end in sight. I spoke to one firefighter here in the Palisades who wasn't sure he was going to make it out of this fire alive, with fires in front of him, behind him, with water running low, communications down. He told me it was the closest thing to hell that he could imagine.
President Biden has said the federal government will pay for 100% of the California wildfires recovery costs. Let's take a quick listen to the FEMA administrator talking about what that declaration could do immediately.
Some of the immediate things that we can provide to them are to cover the costs that they're incurring as they have been evacuated, helping to support what their longer-term shelter and housing needs are going to be. We can also help support crisis counseling and disaster unemployment.
What do you see as some of the immediate needs on the ground there?
Well, the administration has really moved with enormous speed, not only with the major disaster declaration, but also by covering 100% of the costs of trying to fight these fires. That's a incredibly generous federal match, but there is going to be so much more need in the future, because lots of these folks behind me and other parts of Southern California didn't have insurance. A lot of insurance companies were canceling their policies, some right up to the beginning of this fire, and these folks are going to need help getting back on their feet, help rebuilding. We're going to have to start, once we put out these fires, being on the watch for mudslides, which often are the next shoe to fall. So we're not through the fires yet. We're not through some of the hardest to come potentially, and we're going to need enormous help in rebuilding.
Yeah, and I guess to that point, as you're well aware, Congress passed about $100 billion in disaster relief at the end of last year. But to your point about the potential for a longer-term relief, do you expect the governor will submit a request for more federal aid? And do you think there is the will in Congress to approve more aid if needed?
I have no doubt that as generous as the federal government has been so far with these emergency declarations and matching funds, we're going to need more. We're going to need a lot more to build. This is the most costly fire disaster, I think, in our state's history, maybe any state's history. So yes, we're going to be coming back to the federal government seeking more. And frankly, if we don't get on top of climate change, if we don't more aggressively attack climate change, every state is going to be in the position that California is in right now, where the disasters are more frequent and more costly. One of the things that's so shocking about this fire disaster is that it's January. We're not used to seeing these kind of fires in January, but if we don't attack this bigger problem of climate change, who knows how long this fire season is going to go in the future.
President-elect Trump has slammed President Biden, Governor Newsom, as well as Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass over the response to these wildfires. What is your reaction? Do you believe that California Democrats in particular have done enough to prepare for these fires and to respond to them?
All of these attacks that are going on now, attacks on the governor, on the mayor, on the state of California, let's get through this disaster. Let's put these fires down. Let's get people to safety. There'll be plenty of time later for the politics of this. But my focus right now is making sure that Californians get the help that they need, that the firefighters who are out here valiantly trying to put down these flames get all the federal support and state and local support they need. Let's focus on the emergency and let's put off the politics of this until some other day.
That being said, though, we know that there have been some concerns expressed about the emergency alert system, concerns about hydrants that don't have water. Obviously, we know that California has been going through a drought, and I understand this may not be the time to finger point, but do you think more could have been done in the run-up to this tragedy to prevent what we're seeing unfold before our eyes?
I'm sure when this is over, we'll do an analysis, a deep study to figure out what do we need to do to prepare and avoid the catastrophic scale of this. There are some now issues, though, in terms of the response. One of them, I was on the phone with the Secretary of Homeland Security just an hour ago, and that is some of the alerts going out are wrong. Some of the alerts are going out talking about evacuations where evacuations are not needed. That's a real now problem, and we have to fix that. And at this point, it's still unclear whether this is a problem within FEMA and its technology, whether it's a problem with the telecommunication carriers and cell towers that were down that are going up and delayed messages that are going out, or whether this is potentially some external bad actor. We don't know, but we need to get to the bottom of it. We need to fix this problem, which is breeding distrust in government and distrust in the response. Other things, we need to make sure that when legitimate evacuation orders go out, that people are paying attention and following them, because otherwise we're going to lose more lives.
And then lastly, I know you talked very briefly about issues of climate change, certainly issues with respect to insurance, but now in your role as senator, what additional steps do you think need to be taken specifically on the federal level to deal with massive natural disasters like this?
Well, the insurance issue is a huge one. It was a huge one before this catastrophe. This catastrophe is only going to aggravate that problem of people not being able to get coverage, not being able to afford coverage. I've introduced legislation in the past to establish a federal backstop reinsurance facility like we did with terrorism risk reinsurance to try to bring down some of the insurance costs that consumers. Whether we use that approach or some other, though, we need to make sure that people can afford insurance and protect what is generally the most valuable personal possession people have, and that's their home.
All right. Well, Senator Adam Schiff, we thank you so much for your time, and certainly our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Southern California today.
Thank you so much. You take care.